Hi everyone. First Instagram live in a number of months. I'm just waiting for my lovely friend Michelle to come on here. We have had some good laughs today with In the Spirit because we just tried to use a device that had no sound. So we are retrying, and here she is.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Great. Well, welcome.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm glad this is working for us.
All we can do is laugh at how
Yeah.
we give it our best with technology, but there are so many different pieces to this practice.
Oh, Kate. Well, I want to continue the conversation from this weekend. And something that you and I had noticed that was when we had shared our video with everybody, which was about, it was a talk about what's going on down there. So we covered anything from uterine fibroids to ovarian cysts, endometriosis, a little bit about sciatica pain. We had a couple people jump ship and a lot of people unsubscribed. So Kate and I were thinking, we're like, ooh, what are we triggering? What are we triggering? What is what's so shameful about our bodies?
And the curiosity, because we live in a swamp of information. And even here, we're blessed that we can have this conversation on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone tuning in, thank you for being here. You may have noticed when you start following a topic or you listen to one creator talk about something, then the algorithm starts to really pull forward that same topic repetitively. And this has happened so often lately where I'm not even seeing my friends and the people that I love to see their work and their creations, and all of a sudden it's all these ads of something that I looked up one time. And there's a lot of information out there. There's a tremendous amount of information about our bodies, and subjective, objective. We can discuss that for the rest of time. But Michelle and I, some of you know us better than others, we've been long-standing practitioners, but long-term devoted to these bodies and to learning as we go, as we move through our own personal journeys. But all the information out there, and for some people, it does strike something that creates some sort of trigger. We'll use the word trigger or discomfort. And that discomfort is when I feel into shame, I like to imagine shame as this little girl or this little boy that has just endured a lot and did not know how to process that. And so just built this protective mechanism. And then that jacket, that coat, took on years and years of experiences, but maybe that were not theirs at all. And shame is in there the most innocent being, but it requires love and it requires vulnerability to look at, to open, and to really become clear with the communication as to what the messages are from shame. And I feel like body shame, body imaging is a big one, but the confusion that when we start to, the deeper we go into exploring topics, the more mucky it can feel. And where and how can we work with that shame to feel into our bodies and what they need of us this season, what they need of us in the healing and the reprocessing of past seasons, and how that comes to be, and where we are in August of 2026 in this big time that we're all experiencing on this world, on this earth. So,
Gosh,
thank
I
you for that ramble.
no, but like, where do we even want to go with that? There's so much that we could say. I feel like I want to bring up, well, we're in eclipse season. And so probably things that are showing up in our life that are ready to be cleared. Um, and I like your imagery too about what is like as what is shame and what that looks like. And I know in the past, like either through therapy or just talking to people, sometimes putting like a color around shame. And then when you close your eyes, where does that color show up in your body? and then working directly with that area, and ways to try to release that. You know, I'm a big proponent of salt. I think salt is really easy. You know, I just dig my hand in some salt, and then if I feel like I have shame, like maybe right here on my neck, I'll just rub it right there. But this comes from years of self-awareness and self-trust. And I believe that that's what you and I, like, that's the basis of our businesses, right? Is to get women back into their bodies so that, like, you're the master of your domain, you know? Like, there's nobody else that can tell you, right? Because that's what we're, as you were saying, Kate, like, that's the slop that we're seeing on Instagram. Oh, it's like this. Oh, you should try that. Blah, 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 blah. And then we don't do anything. And then we're shameful about not doing something. You know, it's like this crazy loop. So, you know, I think for us, especially as women, I also know that shame does tend to go down into what we call the lower bow. And that's why we develop things like cysts and fibroids and endometriosis and pelvic inflammatory disorders and hemorrhoids and constipation and, you know, painful periods and clotty periods. This, there could be pockets of shame within those um, symptoms, if you will, you
Mm-hmm.
know. um,
You know what else I see
yeah.
with shame? Chronic yeast infections, and especially, and this is going out on a limb, and we know it when we're not in the most aligned relationship and we're exchanging energy, very, very sacred energy. And for women, if we're with men, we're taking in that energy into the body physically, and the body will tell us, over, and she never gets tired of it. She's tremendously patient, but the chronic yeast infections and the pH imbalance and the ways that the body talks in fluids, in congestion, and everything that you were naming. And it's not to add more shame to say, okay, well, what do I do now? I can't just, after listening to these women for 20 minutes, end this relationship. No, but it's looking at everything and how it contributes and how the body holds it. And the body will hold it. It's a tremendous oracle vessel, but there's also when we create more imbalance and we lock up the communication and constrict it in ways that we can't get such a clear read as to what she's sharing anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful unbecoming of when we choose to work with the body in this way. But I really feel like it's asking us to move from here
Yeah.
back down. And that can feel very confronting and scary.
Totally. Because from a young age, we're not taught that, you know? So, you know, I had this thought when I was on a walk yesterday. You know, I firmly come from the mindset that I think we are very spiritual, energetic beings. And I do also think that we are more magical and more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. And I believe that most of our physical symptoms have a root in the emotional or mental body. And from and this is simply because we're energetic, right? So for instance, say we're feeling shame about something, and you know, this could be like really kind of silly. Like, say you were getting out of the car and you tripped and somebody saw you and you're like, oh god, that's so embarrassing, it's super shameful, right? That might get stuck somewhere in the body that we're not conscious of, right? Because we tend to, like, especially in this day and age, like, we tend to blow past what our mental thoughts are, our emotional feelings are, right? And we only start paying attention once it becomes a physical thing. Now, it's because we're human and we're having a human experience. And what makes that different than if we were living on, like, I don't know, Mars or, you know, what, some other planet, is because we have a physical body. We have this meat suit, right? So that's what makes us unique compared to other like beings or entities of the world, is that we have this physical body. So that is why things show up physically. So that's why the body then, we have a pH imbalance, or again, like all those things that we just went over. But it actually all starts, in my belief, my opinion, is that it all starts in the mental and the emotional body. So where it comes online for us is actually becoming more acute in the moment. Like there's actually no remedy, and I'm an acupuncturist, so I'm gonna be like, come in for acupuncture, essential oils. I'm like, you need to start working with essential oils. But really behind all of that is just your heart, and it's really, if as I think the practice has to come from being present.
Mm.
And if you're just present, which again, that sounds so easy, right? But truly, like if we all were to just work on presence, I don't think we'd have half these things.
And what do they say now? It's like the average attention span is 3 seconds.
Right.
3 seconds is nothing. It takes longer to put a lip balm on, but we do ourselves. We've proven as many days as we've all been here that we can multitask, and we can. But is that in our best interest? Or we've done that for long enough, and we're, as women, we're seeing it in cortisol, we're seeing it in burnout, we're seeing it in dysregulation. But can we start to committing to bringing more presence? And as you said, the heart, it's like just bringing our hands onto our skin, feeling, noticing what is the body temperature, any place on the head. There's 82 tabs open. Can I bring my hands onto my head and just allow this presence to bring me back to this one big tab of my life force, my vitality, noticing my breath as I inhale and as I exhale. And even a sigh, a sound, an exhaustion, being so present that we can say, I'm really tired and I can't do anything else in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Presence can open the curtain to the emotions and the feelings and the different states. But as you said, with the mental, the emotional body, the energetic, the frequency of, can we wrangle in these thoughts to bring it back here right now? Can we notice these crickets, the cicadas singing outside? Can we notice this change in the light that's bringing us and reminding us late summer asks you to slow down just a little bit as the world continues to turn, but to notice it's like, okay, we're nature. In these nature beings, can we start to tune in?
Right. And speaking of the season, we're in the season of Earth, and the medicine of Earth is just being. Like this is the season where everybody, especially if you have a garden, there's such an abundance of food right now. You don't necessarily have to put in the work, right? That's something that happened in the springtime. We're at this point now where it's like, oh, like, can I just be with it all, including myself, including these, every part of me, right? I know you and I were talking about this last week. um I, of course, like every woman, whenever you start to gain weight, you don't feel so good, right? But I had said to you, Kate, I was asking for this. Like, I wasn't asking to gain weight, but I was asking for more earth medicine in my life, which was presence, compassion, um, going slow, right? Recognizing the beauty, like you just said. Like, could I just watch the wind blow? Can I watch a bird taking a bath and really actually just be there? Not watch the bird take a bath and think about all the things that I have to do, but really be like, oh my God, look at that bird, like really enjoying that bath. And then like getting involved and being like, oh, I think there needs to be more water in that bath, like, so when I say that I had asked for this, I was in a period of my life where I just wanted to be still. I wanted to learn how to be with myself and not constantly look to either outsource or check out or get distracted by the next thing at work. you know? So that's why, like, when I say I've gained weight, it's because I'm having somebody take care of me, right? Like that, I haven't had that in so long. I walked around as this like big, like independent boss babe until I finally realized, like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's not working for me or my hormones, right? So I decided to enter a season where I let somebody take care of me. And that is the earth. That is the earth. So I have my mom making dinner, right? Like my mom is feeding me. So I've gained a few pounds. So what? I asked for this. I asked for compassion. I asked somebody to take care of me and I got it. So now I'm in it, right? I can't think of anything more nourishing than food and the air that we breathe and my own heartbeat. This is where it's at. And this is all I need to make the next choice and to make my next decision as to what I want next, right?
It's like quieting down again the excess to the basics, but using that not as survival, but that this pillar of vitality. And I feel like that's where, if we can attune collectively, both men and women, and for today's reverence of the topic, women's bodies, but start attuning as to where can we quiet the excess and really relish in what do I need right now? In August, taking it into September, we have this big eclipse closing on Thursday, Pisces, which makes us feel more emotional. So maybe in even a time when we are more emotionally charged, looking at that excess, it's like the truth does come out when we're really tired, and we can have that little. Michelle and I always joke it's like the two old house cats that just batted the little puppies that walk down and want nothing to do with them because they've been so annoyed. But there's something in that. They're tired. They say, I don't want to hear all this noise around me. But if it is quieting down some of the noise, and to offer that as a gift for ourselves in the season, the external season, but to bring the presence into what kind of season is happening within my body.
Mm.
Is it a time where I actually need to be more reflective, or is it a time that I start to take on? But it's that assessment. And this is just, it really feels aligned in the way when discomfort comes up and imbalance comes up, that those moments of opportunity to shift the perspective and to say, okay, I'm pausing for this moment to actually tune in here, not looking at everybody else's ways to buy in with the $27, fix it method, or we overload ourselves, or we overload our conscious and our subconscious when we try to just keep grasping and adding more and more. But if it's the time to bring a little or a big amount of quiet back within.
Yeah. And happiness, you know. So I think right I think the message that we definitely want to leave everybody with today is presence, and that there actually isn't like the next thing that you have to do, you know, or try this practice, or, you know, this is the life hack. Um, Really, all we need to be doing right now at this time and at the end of August is be present.
And from the presence, answers come, messages come, wisdom
And,
come. The
and that
next step.
shame, those shame pockets just go away. Because, like, if you're in the moment, not to say that like shame doesn't pop up, but when you can then just stay with it, you can kind of like rationalize it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you could have that conversation with yourself and say, you know, do I have to feel shameful about that? You know, because most likely it's stemming from like stating your needs, right? Or doing something like saying no and being afraid that you're hurting somebody else, right? It's a people pleasing thing. Like, I feel like shame, really, like the root of shame is like just being in disservice to yourself and your heart. So, you know, again, like, just what are these practices that don't cost any money and can happen right there, like in the moment when it happens, right? And that way we're not having to deal with that or like think about that, you know. So say something happens earlier in the day and then later on that night you're sitting there making dinner and you're thinking about it, you're ruminating. That means that's already gotten into you. It's already landed somewhere in your body. So that's why, again, it's like as spiritual, energetic beings, becoming highly aware of ourselves in the present moment, we eliminate a lot of that extra work and the money that we have to spend to get there.
And the energy that we exhaust ourselves spinning.
Mm-hmm.
Spinning is good because it humbles us, but there's also a time where we can stop spinning and say, wait a minute, let me just give this attention.
Yeah.
And love and so much self-love. The work
Right.
of a lifetime.
Right.
So thank you for everyone listening. We thank you for our patience with technology. We'd also be very, very interested in hearing what you are curious in exploring and learning about our bodies, in our bodies. Please message us, email us. You can connect with us anywhere. Let's continue this conversation and savor these really sweet and sacred days of the last week of August.
Yeah. Of, of, of receiving the abundance, you know, like sitting back and saying like, damn, I did all that. Cool. You know, yay me, grew a garden. Yeah. And then, of course, check out our YouTube videos too, because we'll be posting more of our videos there, more educational, free stuff. Take advantage of it.
Thank
All right.
you, everyone. See you again.
See you.